Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm Great Scott.
Hey, Scott!
And if you're new to the channel, please check out our other videos, but on this channel it is free to play, and we only use rares and other free champions like campaign farmable champions you can get from daily logins, and the rewards from like clan shop and arena, tag team arena, bazaar. So if everybody has access to them, they're fair game. We're going to use them on this channel. So clan versus clan just started, and I'm going to do a shard pull video, so hopefully we can get some decent shards and get lots of points for our clan versus clan so we can win. Let's get right to it. I like to start with the sacred shards first because they're the most exciting, but I only have 3 of them, so let's see what happens. We need to pick some epics and legendaries just in case we get lucky. What do we have here? Let's just use this one. And I have a couple of those. I have a couple of those. I don't know. These are all pretty good, but we'll just go with this. Alright, let's pull some shards. First one, drum roll please. Ultimate Galek. Nothing new. We have one in our vault. Number 2. Oh, I have to get more slots. Alright, it's fine. I'll just buy some more slots. Oh, we got a Jotun. I think he's new. I don't think I had him before because it gave me 4,000 points instead of 1,000. Come on, legendary. Well, we got all epics. Not bad. That's a new one, so I got 4,000 points for that one. Very good. I don't use any of these legendaries or even the epics because they're not free-to-play friendly, so you're not guaranteed to get them. So they're just going to go in the vault. We don't need them. We don't use them. Now, void shards. We do use void shards if they're rare, but nothing above rare, just because everybody pretty much has access to rares eventually. But in this case, we're just going to pull some shards. Hopefully we get some void rares that we can use, but if they're epics or legendaries, we're not going to be able to use them. Alright, we got the Amarantine Skeleton. Let's see what we got here. Block buffs on an A1. 80% chance of block active skills. 80% chance of heal reduction on the A2. And increased defense in this champion for 2 turns. Not impressed. Probably won't be using him. Second shard. Oh, we got a Marquise. I have a bunch of him already. Decreased speed if it's critical. Small chance. Oh, I'm sorry, not small chance. It places the small version of decreased speed on one enemy if it's critical. Counterattack. Continuous heal on himself. It's okay. AoE has 35% chance of sleep for 1 turn. That can't be removed. That's actually pretty good. I mean, 50% chance when you book it out on a 3-turn cooldown. I guess maybe Sand Devil, but I haven't used him yet, and I doubt this is like my 3rd copy, so I doubt I'll be using him. Hit points in all battles by 18% for just force allies. Not a great aura. Last void shard. Ooh, what's this? Oh, wow. Now that's some clan points. I'm not going to ever use this champion. It's a legendary champion. She's going in the vault, but let's check her out. I've never heard of her before. Attacks one enemy, 30% chance of decreased speed for 2 turns. Continuous heal on herself. Also places continuous heal for 1 turn on the ally with the lowest HP. That's great. Defense-based champion. Not a defense-based champion, but the damage is based on defense. She's a support champion. She attacks an enemy, 75% chance of decreasing the attack by 50%. Block debuffs for 2 turns. Also applies debuff spread effect, taking 2 random debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. That would be incredibly useful in things like, oh gosh, Hydra. I'm thinking Hydra is great. Sometimes on the waves, sometimes the boss with some ads. I mean, that's great. Debuff spread is great. I love it, and it actually looks like it's 100% chance when it's booked out on a 3-turn cooldown eventually. 60% increased defense, increased speed on all allies for 2 turns. Just that alone is awesome because it's on a 3-turn cooldown. That's an amazing A3 skill. Passive removes a random debuff from all allies at the start of each turn. Removes 2 random debuffs instead from all allies if they're under continuous heal. Well, she brings a continuous heal with her, so that passive is just like removing all the debuffs like every turn. It's pretty amazing for a passive. Then of course accuracy and outbattles by 70. It's average for a legendary. She's a barbarian, so I mean she would be great in faction crypts if you didn't have anybody better, but I've already finished the barbarian script with all rares and free champions, so she's an amazing champion. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad we got 30,000 points from it, but she's going in the vault. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm really interested in, and these are the rares, because I would love to get my hands on some of these rares. Oh, I forgot who I chose. Let's do 10 at a time. Oh, gotta open some more slots. Let's spend some more gems, everybody. Yeah! Alright, got some slots open. Here we go. 10 at a time. See what we get. Anybody here worth it? So I need a halberdier just for the fusion, so I'll show you that in a second. Otherwise, I don't see anybody that I actually need or anybody I can actually use, unfortunately. Let's try it again. Witness, don't really use Witness. Chance of placing an extra hit, increase defense on the ally with the lowest hit points. She's got a block debuffs, shield equal to 30% of the champion's max HP on allies for 2 turns. So she does put a shield out there on everybody, but she's not terrific. I don't think I'll be using Witness. Rocktooth, I don't think I'll be using Rocktooth. Extra hit if it's critical, attacks all enemies, increased crit rate on all allies for 1 turn. It's not that great. Attacks 1 enemy, places heal reduction for 2 turns. I don't think I'll be using Rocktooth. Lamabur, I love Lamabur, but I've got copies of him, and he's not incredibly useful. He's okay for the Skinwalkers because he brings a reviver if you don't have one. He attacks 1 enemy 2 times. It has a chance of filling random allies' turn meter by 5%. I mean, it's a low chance to fill turn meter, and it's a low amount of fill, so it's not great, but it's something. He's got an AoE, but he places continuous heal on everybody for 2 turns. That is very useful. It's just like a heal. The attack is a bonus. And he heals a target ally by 25% of their max HP, and then puts Revive on Death on them for 2 turns. That's on a 5-turn cooldown, which is a really long cooldown. However, the problem I have with this, it's difficult to use, because by the time you heal somebody who's low health, you give them 25% heal, they're too full to die. You've healed them up too much, and they don't actually die that turn. I mean, the Revive on Death is short-lived when it's only on a 2-turn, so they don't typically die when you heal them, so it's hard to use. It really is hard to use. He's got speed in all battles by 10%, which is great in the faction crypts. Ooh, epic. I already have a Taurus, not that big of a deal. I got a 20 time chance to spawn whoever that was. I forgot his name right now, but this guy, he heals by 20% of the damage inflicted if the target has a poison debuff. I mean, that's great. 75% chance of placing Weaken for 2 turns. That's great. You just book it up to 100 on a 3-turn cooldown. And then this champion receives damage equal to 99% of their current hit points, and puts an unkillable buff on them for 2 turns. There's an 80% chance of placing 4 poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Like, that is a great skill to have, especially when you pair it with him healing himself on everybody with a poison debuff. I mean, whoever you attack, he's going to heal himself. That's great, but you also have to pair him with a healer, and that's not so great. Accuracy in Faction Crypts 40 is okay. It's run-of-the-mill. It's probably average for an epic. It's not fantastic. You're better off using somebody with a higher aura in your faction crypts. But he's an epic, so I can't use him because he's not available to everybody. Let's keep working. Rotting Mage. 25% chance of placing freeze. There is no way to book that up and do a higher rate. It's 25% chance. It's like a 1 in 4. It's not great. 25% increase attack on all allies. 30% increase defense on all allies, or on this champion, not even all allies. So it's the small version of increased attack and the small version of increased defense. The defense is just on him. It's just okay. It's not great. Attack one enemy, 75% chance of placing stun. Book that up to 100%. That is pretty good crowd control, but there's no way to get the cooldown reduced. It's still 4 turns, so I don't think I'll be using him. He's not great. He does have a little bit of speed and faction crypts, but the Undead Hordes has so many to choose from, so many good free possibilities. I doubt I'll be using Rotting Mage. Oh, let's get some more slots. Boy, I'm just burning through the gems for this video, aren't I? It's okay, I need the slots anyway. Flailer. Alright, so Flailer has a 25% chance of decreasing the turn meter by 10%, so it's a low chance, but it's an okay turn meter decrease. There's no way to get the chance any higher. Increased defense on himself and the ally with the lowest hit points for 2 turns, and it fills his turn meter by 25%. It's on a 2-turn cooldown. That's not bad, honestly. He's putting a 2-turn increased defense on himself and another person, increases his turn meter by 25% on a 2-turn cooldown when it's booked. Not terrible. He can also attack an enemy, and he has 100% when booked up chance of placing provoke for a turn. That's good. He's a defense-based champion, so he's easy to keep alive, along with the fact that he's adding increased defense, small version, on himself and one other person. He may be usable in the faction crypts for dwarves, but I don't see him being used too many other places. There's other free champions available for that purpose. Last one here. Hopefully it's a good one. Oh, what do we got here? Alright, another 30,000. Maranix. I've never heard of her, because I don't really use legendaries unless they're free, and I won't be using her either, because, of course, it's only free champions that everyone can get, and not everyone has access to these champions that I just pulled. So, they're going in the vault, but let's take a look at her anyway. 2-hitter, 50% chance to place 2 extra hits if they're under a hex. This would pair really well with some of those other free hex champions that we get. I'm thinking, was it Cleo and Mithrala maybe? The chance to place each extra hit is calculated individually per hit. Well, that's okay. 50% chance is fine. Each hit, right? 2 times. And then you have a chance to place 2 extra hits. So I'm hoping I read that correctly. Then she has an AoE on her A2, 75% chance of placing Hex. That can be bumped up to 100%, it looks like. And a 60% decrease defense debuff for 2 turns. That actually looks really good. You book it up to a 3-turn cooldown. It puts decreased defense for 2 turns. Puts a Hex for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. AoE, 100% chance. That is an amazing skill. Attacks all enemies. Ignores the unkillables and the shields if they're under a hex. Well, you're going to be hexing the heck out of everybody on this for this champion, so that's great. That's actually really good. Places unkillable on this champion if this attack kills an enemy without a hex debuff, and then places an unkillable buff for 2 turns instead if the attack kills an enemy under hex. So you're hexing everybody, whether you pair her up with a hex champion or she just goes on her own with high accuracy. You're just blanketing everybody with hex. So she's going to be unkillable if it kills an enemy without, 2 turns if she kills it with a hex. So that's great. And it's on a 4-turn cooldown, which isn't too terrible for an A3. This resets the cooldown of the Inexorable End skill, which is this one that makes her unkillable. It resets the cooldown whenever this champion kills an enemy under Hex. Increases this champion's attack by 5% for each enemy under Hex debuff. So let's say you're fighting 4 or 5 people, that's 20-25% more attack that you're just getting by placing a Hex on everybody. And you're becoming unkillable if you kill other enemies with Hex. So you're doing great here. So it's a great champion. Legendary though, going in the vault. But I'm so happy I got 30,000 points toward my clan for each one of these Legos that I happened to pull. There's one more secret. My clanmates don't know this yet. I've been holding on to Cleo. I got her, but I haven't summoned her yet because I know she's worth a free 30,000 towards clan versus clan points. So now I'm going to summon her. And everybody can look up Cleo, free champion. All you have to do is get enough fragments. Nice 30,000 towards clan versus clan. Attacks one enemy, 30% chance of placing weaken for 2 turns, increases to 50% if the target's under a hex, but you can also book it up to either a 50 or a 70%. So assuming you're putting hex on whoever you're fighting, you got a 70% chance of placing that weaken. Also is going to place a perfect veil on her if this attack kills an enemy under hex. Well, she's got hex coming, so don't worry. It's part of her kit. So she'll be perfect veiled if she kills them. Otherwise, she's throwing weaken on everybody, or she's throwing weaken on that target, up to a 50% chance if they're not under hex. She also places 30% increased crit rate and 30% increased crit damage on herself for 2 turns. Then she throws an AoE. That's got a 75% booked up to 100% chance of placing block active skills for 2 turns on targets under a hex. We really need a hex with this character, right? Hopefully it comes in this one. The A3 places 50% increased accuracy buff on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks all enemies. So she's got an increased accuracy, then an AoE, and it's got a 75% chance of placing hex, booked up to 100% for 3 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. So 3 out of every 4 turns, and if you build her super fast, you can have that hex up all the time. Plus you're going to have increased accuracy most of the time. And she has 100% placing fear instead on enemies under hex debuffs. So if you've already hexed them and you cast it again, she's going to fear them. So they're going to be feared and hexed, which brings you back to your A1, which means you get a 70% chance of throwing the weaken on them, and if she kills somebody, she gets a perfect veil on herself. Very, very good champion. She's awesome. She's usable just about everywhere. She also counterattacks with the default skill every time this champion loses 30% hit points or more in a single turn. Always counterattacks when attacked if 2 or more allies are dead. So if a couple of your teammates are dead in Hydra, she's always going to counterattack. So she doesn't have to have a counterattack buff, she just always counterattacks, which is actually really useful considering that she's placing weaken on those heads and any other champions, or I'm sorry, any other enemies if your champions are dead. So great champion. I only pulled her now because it's clan versus clan. And let's take a look at how many points did I actually accumulate with this shard pull. So, personal rewards, how are we doing? Oh, I'm sorry, members, how are we doing? I got 103,945 points just pulling those shards. So it makes sense to hang on to your shards for these clan versus clan, because that actually, it pulled us really close. Can you imagine how far away we would be from the other clan if I hadn't pulled that 100,000 points just now? We'd have been buried. They'd have had 174, and the rest of our members would have had less than 50. Oh, maybe 50, close to 75, it looks like. 20, 13, 10. They wouldn't have had a lot, but they'd have had almost 200, and we barely would have even had 100 if I hadn't pulled this 103 out of there. So it was important to save your shards for clan versus clan. And next clan versus clan, it's interesting because I'm so close to having my Mithrala shards. I've got 95 out of 100. So by the time next clan versus clan comes, I should be very close to getting Mithrala, but I'm going to hang on to her till I can get the points, because that's what's really important. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll try to put out another video this week, and if you're following us, please like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and when the video comes out, it should send you a notification, assuming you hit the bell. Till then, take care, guys. Bye-bye.